guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while. Winter is over, spring is here. Sun is out, bugs are out. Well, at least I'm out. But today I want to talk about some rider tips for the new season. Things you guys can probably benefit from. Oh gosh. Yeah, things you guys can benefit on for the new riding season, things you should keep in mind to have a good season in general. And this will apply whether you're a new rider or have some miles under your belt. The first thing is going to be, it's an easy one, and that is to shake off the winter rust, right? If you're new, you're starting at bottom level, ground zero, so you can only go up. So, you know, in your case, you have nothing to worry about. Just be safe, make good choices, and practice. For my experienced riders, don't go crazy on that first ride, right? Like today is 70 degrees, it's gonna get up to 80 degrees. This weather is gonna want to make you do something reckless, probably be a little heavy in the throttle, but don't neglect your emergency braking, don't neglect your slow speed maneuvers, don't neglect just safe riding techniques in general. That is tip number one, right? You don't want to start the season on a bad note. Tip number two would be check your ego and leave the ego at home. Again, I don't think this one really applies to new riders. Well, it could apply to new riders. You know, don't be a new rider that's very cocky. Don't be that person, right? Nobody likes just somebody that's thinks they're all that. And likewise, this goes for my experienced riders as well. You know, leave your ego at home. These streets ain't safe, man. You can have a car just pull out in front of you from one of these driveways and it can end very badly. So leave the ego at home. And if you do want to do a little bit of talking, a little bit of smack talking, I suggest you book a track day. So that would be tip number two, I suppose, is leave the ego home and do a track day. That track day will teach you so much more than what the streets can teach you. A whole day on track will teach you way more than what riding on the streets for like an hour or two will. So book that track day, grab a coach, get comfortable with your bike, and just become a lot more confident in yourself. This was for my beginner riders, so don't finance a beginner or starter bike. Okay, so what I mean by that is, like, I understand you want to have the nicest, shiniest toy from the showroom, Ninja 500, 400, R3, whatever. Don't finance it brand new. Come on. I feel like that's an obvious one. Maybe it's just me, but because a few things are gonna happen. One, you're gonna be stuck on that loan for, you know, a while, and then, well, not only that, let's say you do manage to pay it off, you're throwing away money still, because you could have just bought something used and then upgraded later without having to, you know, pay on that initial loan. But also too, like, to that point, it's like, don't finance brand new bike off the showroom if you're planning on upgrading, or if you're a beginner rider, because you're gonna take a lot of depreciation costs, you're gonna eat a lot of those interests, and then somebody else is gonna benefit. So unless you plan on keeping the bike forever, I suggest buying used, buying it off marketplace of somebody you trust, because at that point that bike will have some miles, you won't feel bad if you drop it, the insurance premiums won't be as high, and yeah, you'll just enjoy life a little bit more, knowing that if you do happen to drop it and you're a new rider, and which you will, then you won't be crying about it. Alright, so tip number 4 is going to be an easy one, and that is don't spend money on low quality parts. So don't spend your money on useless mods. What comes to mind is like Chinese levers, eBay exhausts, low quality parts that don't serve any purpose other than aesthetics. What I would do is I would save that money and put it towards actual worthwhile mods, such as suspension. That's a big one. So suspension, because there's no better feeling on a bike than having suspension tuned to your weight. It springs that match your weight. It just makes the whole riding aspect a lot more enjoyable. It's almost telepathic when you can tell that a bike is tuned to your weight specifically, and you can kind of tell what it's doing in the twisties. So, and that goes towards the guys that have adjustable suspensions on their bike. If you don't take the time to take it to somebody and get it adjusted to your liking, then you're doing yourself a big disservice. Another worthwhile mod would be like ergonomics. So spend the money, instead of buying the Chinese levers, spend that money on maybe clip-ons that you can adjust the angle. You can also adjust maybe the height. The same goes for maybe the pegs, right? Like if you're a taller rider or a shorter rider, you may want a different setup, a different knee angle. So spend that money where it counts, and it'll make your whole daily commute, the whole ownership of the bike, a lot more enjoyable. And last tip, well, not really a tip, this one just has to do more of like a general rule, and that would be to give in more than what you take. So the whole motorcycling scene is just one big community, and what I mean by that is like don't hang out with the wrong people, with the wrong crowd. Don't get into riding if you're just gonna have that bike be a showpiece. Don't buy it just to make TikToks. Don't be a sheep, essentially. Don't be like the other the TikTok bike talkers that just farm content. If you truly love the sport, you know, go out there, make some friends. If you're somebody that has some experience, you know, lend a hand to somebody that might be new, or that somebody that looks like it needs help. And likewise, if you're new and are looking for somebody to ride with, or need some help, or is in general lost, then don't be afraid to ask, because the motorcycle community has always been very close-knit. And this applies to track days, for example. Like a lot of people think that track day riders like to talk a lot of shit, which, you know, we do, but it's all in fun and games. Track riders, if anything, are like the most helpful people. I can share many stories of like meeting a random stranger at a track day and borrowing some of their tools, and or maybe like I didn't have a canopy and they let me chill with them. So they're very, very friendly. This could be applied towards like the motorcycle community, right? So like if you're part of a community and maybe you're lucky to be in a area where like the community is very friendly, you know, maybe like branch out and host group rides. Maybe dedicate a little bit of that influence towards creating a safe community, new riders where they feel comfortable. So that's just my 2 cents. I want to see everybody enjoy the sport for what it is. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to get in here and say today. Let me know if you agree with some of these opinions. Let me know if you find some of these tips helpful to you. I think some of these have value in them. So yeah, guys, until the next one.